Welcome to the Special Moves podcast. This is episode 136. My name's Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Kukowski and Liam McKelvey.
How's it going? Yo! Good? It's going well. Yeah, thank you for asking. Going very well. We've just been talking about what's been going on ahead of the podcast, and it's like sometimes, we're like, oh, well, what have we been playing? Old stuff, but there's some quite a lot of stuff coming up, isn't there? In the next hour.
Coming up after the break.
I've been watching 90 Day Fiance a lot, and it does that all the time. Mm-hmm. This season on 90 Day Fiance.
What's the premise of 90 Day Fiance?
I'm not ashamed to say I've seen quite a lot of 90 Day Fiance and the spin-off shows.
Right, let me just say this. I think the bonus podcast is sorted. More on that later, Mike. Right, yeah.
What is this? You can't just be like, I've been watching 90 Day. Yeah, I got to know something. Give me the one sentence.
Right. The premise is it follows couples, usually in America, who find their spouse either online or through like pen pals, whatever.
Right.
And then they've got 90 days to get married, so they can get a green card visa.
Because obviously the 90 days is how long your visitor visa lasts in America, right? So they need to decide if they love each other truly and want to go through with the wedding or not. So it's and
through the miracle of happenstance, a reality TV crew are just there.
They happen to To be fair, the first season of it starts out quite grounded. When you get to season 5 onwards, it's just full on insanity. It goes off the rails. Big time.
It's like Come Dine With Me, where it was a show about cooking, but now it's like a show about putting 4 people who are going to hate each other in a room and making them fight.
Making coming up with eternal memes like "what a sad little life you lead" and all that.
Exactly. Yes. So I give you some stick with 90 Day Fiance because I've been watching season 6. So if anyone's listening and wants to know about season 6, well, you can check out the bonus pod this week, can't you?
Podcast. What a terrible start to a gaming podcast that was. But luckily, the bonus podcast isn't a gaming podcast. It's an off-topic podcast. We talk about anything and everything. If you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to one of those every single week. It's probably
it's very highbrow.
Yeah, extremely higher brow than the main podcast. We save all of the highest brow stuff for the bonus podcast.
We wear smoking jackets and everything.
Exactly. Outfit change. Yeah, exactly.
So you can get that, and we'll be talking about what's it called? 90 Day Fiance.
90 Day Fiance. Yeah.
I have actually watched a lot of films. So I can. It won't all be 90 Day Fiance.
Don't try and claw it back now, Liam. Well, let's just commit to 90 Day Fiance.
I can't wait to tell you about the big Ed memes.
Yeah. So this podcast recording session follows only by a couple of hours the big Nintendo Direct. So we've got stuff we've been playing, and there's that, which is pretty.
We'll talk about Nintendo, the Nintendo Indie World or something like that.
Indie World.
We'll talk about that in full in a little bit. We've got loads of emails, really good emails actually. Some of them are extremely long, but worth it in my opinion.
Okay.
So we'll go through some of those, and of course the new games as well. Boys, do you want to talk about Back 4 Blood first, though?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll just quickly set it up then. Innit? Back 4 Blood is the spiritual successor. I guess a lot of people say spiritual successor, but when I say spiritual successor, I mean, if they could have legally called it a sequel, they would have called it a sequel to Left 4 Dead. Yeah. The Valve classic. Everyone kind of knows what that is, but just in case you don't, it's a 4-player co-op survival game where you, as a team of 4, go through various stages, defeating swaths of zombies and finishing the level by getting to various checkpoints. Part of an overarching story, which is very, very light and archetypal, and it is lots of zombies, but kind of peppered throughout them. There are special zombies, special enemy types. So some of the classics are the Witch, obviously from the old games on the Boomer and things like that. And it was a kind of co-op experience, but you could play the versus mode as well, where it was half of the players would take on these special zombies and the other half would take on the survivors. So Back 4 Blood is the upcoming, don't call it, if you work there, but everyone else in the world will call it, a sequel, which is being published by Warner Bros. So not Valve, and it comes out in October around Halloween.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this.
It's, you know what? So we, as a genre, we've played and enjoyed these types of games quite frequently, haven't we? We did World War Z. I think that's what it was called. We did Vermin's Hide and Vermin's Hide 2, Deep Rock Galactic. So this type of thing is great. And like whenever we're trying to play games together, we're normally looking to play something co-op and something where preferably you're not having to play with like 15-year-old boys who are really good at games. So like this is like, you know, it's not a dying breed, but certainly not as many of them as there are, like, you know.
We played Dark Alliance recently.
Oh, yeah.
And if you remember what we were, you know, well, I was critical of that. We were all critical of it, but I was critical of it especially because of the kind of lack of, you know, like ferocity in the enemies. The enemies are just like dribs and drabs, just 1 or 2, 3, 4 little groups that you could easily manage.
Yeah.
Whereas Left 4 Dead is all about like chaos and kind of overwhelming you, you know, out of the blue. And you think, oh, there's the safe house, we've almost made it. And then it just kind of, it will just throw you a huge, horrible curveball, and, you know, hundreds of zombies will come out of the woodwork. And it had like really good, interesting, intense like pacing to it, which is really important. You know, Vermin's Hide is pretty good at that as well.
You're dead right. So how were me and Liam playing it before the October 12th release? Well, there was like a closed beta event over the weekend. And before we talk about the game, I just want to say that if you're listening, like when this is kind of fresh, there's an open beta this weekend, which is I think it goes live on the 12th. Which is the day of the podcast launch, and it goes live until the Monday the 16th, and it's on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. So it sounds like we're running an advert for it, but the point is, like everything we're about to say now, if it sounds interesting, the good news is you can check it out for free for a limited time and decide whether you want to spend a lot of fucking money on it, because I think it is a full price game when it comes out. Yeah. So the only change I've noticed in the Back 4 Blood, Left 4 Dead comparison thing is that there is, big eye roll for everybody, a card system in the game now there is
tiered loot.
Yeah, so yeah, tiered loot. Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, tiered loot is actually like a really like sensible, complete. You know, but. I want to know what Liam's got to say, really, but I'll say I actually didn't mind the card system as much as I thought I did.
Like
honestly,
cards, though, don't you?
No. I did, Mike. Yeah, but they were a fast-paced gaming environment. I'm very sick of them. Slay the Spire basically ruined it for everybody by being so good. Everyone wanted to copy it, and now, like, honestly, as a fan of roguelikes, and deck builders. We don't need this many roguelike deck builders, okay? Every game is a roguelike deck builder. I like both of them separate, right? But I'm not a big fan. But so I've got a bit of prejudice. So I wanted to ask what Liam's cooler head thought of it.
I actually quite liked the card system from what I got to mess around with. So obviously there was like limited cards in it because of the, you know, it being a beta. But they could drastically change the way like you went through a gate, because they call them runs, so literally really feeding into that like deck building roguelike part of it. But they can really change like your play style. You can get one, you can stack them to give you loads of ammo, so you can just go on like a rampage of a shotgun. You can change them to basically like turn you into like a melee tank / healer, where every time you kill an infected, it'll give you health back if you kill them with a melee weapon. It can change your your melee attack to a knife. It can give you like loads of like little. They sound stupid when you read them because it's usually stuff like gain 2%, like gain 2 health back when you're in critical for every melee kill you do and stuff like that. But because you can equip, I think it's like, is it like up to 15 per match?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So in case you've not played it, right, basically, you build a class, yeah. So let's say you picked a class, you can build, you can pick 15 cards, you can, Mike, and then what happens is at the beginning of this run, you'll be shown 5 cards at random out of your 15, and it'll say pick one. So even if you've got a really good card, you might not see it in your run. But so what Liam's saying is, you get 3 cards that are like, you know, you've got 100 health as a base. And Liam just said then you got this card that gives you 2 health back every time you kill somebody. if you've got 3 of them in your deck and you draw all 3 of them, then each time you melee kill somebody, you're getting 6 of your 100 health back. And you know how many enemies there are in these types of games, right? So you're going around with a knife and you're basically doing bits and staying alive.
Is it possible to completely ignore that kind of stuff?
No,
well,
it's pretty integral to the game, I'd say, anyway.
It is, yeah, but it's not kind of game breaking, I don't think. But like, I was playing with a couple of friends, and one of them was like really down on his luck about it, like, oh, I want a sprint card or whatever. He was really going, I really want the endurance card. He's trying to draw his... But the best thing about the card system is probably that, like, you're playing, like, you know, like in Left 4 Dead and whatnot, you have acts, don't you? So you have a level. Let's say the level was called, like, The Swamp, and it would be Act 1, the beginning of the swamp. Yeah? And then you go to your safe house, and then the level ends, and then it's Act 2, the middle of the swamp. Yeah, so in between that safe house and loading up the next act, you draw another card, but the world draws a card, which is basically like a handicap card, if you get what I'm saying. So, and that's different every time. So what it'll be is like this time in the middle of the swamp, Act 2, enemies have got double health or something like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So each time you play...
The world draws a card is a fucking charity single. It's a Bono front charity single, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The world draws a card. So it's kind of like, you know, the DM drawing a card, or like, you know, the AI director or whatever they call it. So and they stack. So we had a run where it was like these big enemies with like these clobbery hands. They had armor, so you could only shoot them and damage them by hitting their critical spots. Enemies had double health, and you had like 20% ammo buff. So by the end of it, it was like difficult. But then if we did it again, we could draw different, whatever the opposite of a perk is, handicaps. So that's the only difference, and that's the thing that would take you any time to get adjusted to. Everything else, you're playing it, but yeah, it's.
I'm sort of less excited now because of that a little bit. But
well, yeah, and this is what happened.
I'm lazy. It's only
I'm lazy too. I booted it up by myself. I saw the card system and I turned it off. That's it, straight away. And then
I knew there was a good reason we were friends, mate. I knew.
Yeah, and I saw it, and as soon as it said pick your cards, and it was like I had to read. I was like off, and then on Sunday I had some scheduled time to play it with friends, right. And if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be in as a rush. Yeah. So I had a really good time, but it was one of them like I was playing with my friends, so it probably was a lot more fun. But Liam, you played it with random, so you probably got like a more, what a regular person would have. So what was it like playing with like no communications?
So the very first match I played got matched with a German guy who kept laughing like a serial killer.
Yeah.
But then he quit out the match and everyone died anyway. So that was my first experience of it. But I actually got into a game with quite a good team. We didn't have any communication apart from just like keyboard typing at each other. And it went quite well. So we did, I think it was like, because I joined, I think it must have been like halfway through. But it still took about an hour to get from the halfway point to the end of the level, campaign, whatever you call it. But it worked quite well. Like when we're all in sync, because we all play, there's like a roster of characters, a bigger roster than Left 4 Dead. There's like, I'm not sure how many characters there were in the beta, but they each have like a special ability in Back 4 Blood. And, some of them have a special like iconic weapon. Like I played some like biker looking woman who had a double barrel shotgun as like a sidearm and stuff like that. And then I played another guy who his special ability was he could find like resources in the environment more easily, I think was his ability. But yeah, it's like, but when we got into a game, it was good. It's very structurally similar to Left 4 Dead, where, like Jake said, you're going through a level, you get like dynamic hordes of zombies coming at you when you're doing well. The game throws more at you when you're getting your arse beat a bit. It'll like back them off a little bit and give you some breathing room. And yeah, there was a good flow to it. If you have played Left 4 Dead, the game flow is pretty much exactly like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the gunplay, I did like the gunplay. So they've got the weapon variety is massive compared to Left 4 Dead. Like There's like 7 different types of handguns, 8 different.
It's like Call of Duty level, isn't it?
It's not like Left 4 Dead where you're like, oh, I've got a pistol. No, I've got 2 pistols. Oh, there's a shotgun. Here's a slightly better shotgun. There's like semi-auto rifles, assault rifles, shotguns, automatic shotguns, machetes, axes. There's all sorts like weapon variety to it. The gunplay felt good. Like, it was solid. It felt good, like blowing things up and like just like kicking down a door and blasting away zombies with a shotgun. But then, like the actual, I would say the AI seemed a bit off balance when I was playing it, because the game has a continue system where if you die, you lose a life pretty much, and if you die too many times, I think it's free. It literally it kicks you all out of the game and sends you back to like your encampment, which is a bit disappointing because some of the levels can be pretty hard. Even on, it's a bit like Vermintide where even easy difficulty will destroy you a bit until you get better at the game and get better cards, better loadouts.
I did like that about Vermintide because it makes you want to do it again. It makes you want to hit it again. You know, it's like
it's like there was a few times where we died, but it's like I do think it's best played with a good group of friends or like gaming groups or whatever through like a Discord channel or something, because like the one team of randoms I was with and we were all communicating, we were like spot on, reviving each other, healing each other. But then there was other teams of randoms I played with where you could tell like they weren't really asked about playing the game. They died, they left the game straight away, got replaced by a bot, and then like literally once that one person left, the entire match like fell apart. Like we got swarmed by zombies and destroyed like almost immediately. So to me it felt like you really need like a solid team to get the most out of Back 4 Blood, which I guess a lot of people are looking for, because there's going to be so many people playing this, like with Discord channels on, like mics on, headsets on. It's going to be their thing. So I think if you're a solo player or you do play with randoms, you might not have the best time with Back 4 Blood, because it really does feel like you need some like tight coordination to like get through the levels sometimes to get the
and it's like there is an Apex Legends ping system, like with fully like loads of options, but it's like things are a bit too hectic, like to sometimes use that, and like the game is funny at like tripping you up a lot. Like remember in Left 4 Dead you had the witch, didn't you? And like if you shot near the witch, it'd startle the horde or whatever. Well, in this, the witch has been replaced with like just I don't know, like murder of crows. So there's just like a little flock, and and if you shoot near them, they fly away. A horde comes, and it's stuff like that where like trigger happy, teammates can really screw it up for you. Like we were playing. There was 4 of us in the match, so we were a fully stocked party. But there was like 3 of us were on comms. So we were playing with this random guy. Shouts out Jamshido or whatever his name was, and he was like, I was having to type to him and stuff like that on behalf of the council, like, do you know what I mean? But he was like really good at communicating, but I can see how that'd be a complete nightmare if we couldn't. I really took that for granted, I think, that we were communicating, because there's bits, Mike, where like like you're in you enter a very obvious arena, and then it'll be like start the boat engine to alert the horde. So like when you're communicating, it's as simple as like being like, all right, you ready, boys? Yeah, you getting up there? But when you bite, you're all spread out because it's quite a big arena. So I can't be like, where the fuck's Liam? Because he's behind the tractor or something. I can't see him. So, communication will be key for it. So, but the only other thing I'd say is like the weapon thing, the being so vast, I thought it was going to be like a bit bogging people down. Like I can't be arsed learning the difference between an M4 AO1 and an M16 1A, but it's like this gun is green, this gun is purple, that means better. And I'm like, all right, and I've got a green assault rifle, I'll get a blue assault rifle, and that's better. And it's as simple as that.
It's got a shop as well, like a CSGO shop, where at the start of like each act you're in the safe house and you find currency out in the world, copper it is, and you can spend that at not a treasure chest, but I don't know what else to call it.
Supply chest?
Supply chest, yeah. In each safe house, and it has like randomized weapons you can buy. You can buy health packs, bandages, Molotovs, grenades.
You can even buy card perks that we were talking about.
You can buy the perks, yeah. So it's got a bit of an in-game economy to it as well. So like, which adds more to the, like you could run around the first act doing nothing but using your sidearm, getting copper, and then if you go to the supply chest in the next act, there might be like a purple ranked shotgun in there that you can buy and like absolutely demolish for the rest of the game.
I hope there's an option to simply have shared currency, because like it was kind of annoying that like that really took away the teamwork element of it. Like we were all huddled up, but I could see that this guy Jamshido, shouts out Jamshido, went and just stole all the copper. I don't know what he was doing with it because he wasn't communicating.
Payday 2 the heist or something. Where
watching your back. But the one element I did like about some of the perks, by the way, that card system, is that like they were like party wide. So like I spent my money on a card that gave everybody 2 grenade slots rather than 1. And so there is stuff that you can do for the gang, like which I like. That I think they maybe need a bit more of that, because at the moment there's no real incentivization for people to play as a team without communicating. There's something that Liam's just brought up, and it's dead right. But like, I'm just off the back of like a Battlefield session, isn't it, where everyone's really, that's the perfect game of incentivizing a bunch of pricks to work together. Like, do you know what I mean?
As far as getting randoms to cooperate, it's
difficult.
And another like, not a knock against Back 4 Blood, but if you are a solo player, it does have some of the worst bots I've ever seen in a game, to be honest.
Well, Left 4 Dead was shit, wasn't it? So
yeah, but at least Left 4 Dead was semi-functional. The bots will literally stand there getting attacked by a horde of zombies and not even fire at them. They'll just stand there until they die.
Like the AI in Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
Like the enemy AI, it's not too dissimilar. It just stand there.
It sort of sounds like a game of its era, really, doesn't it? Between the fucking weapons being tiered by what color they are, and a shop, and cards. And
exactly. It's like if
built on the core of Left 4 Dead, they've added all that.
Because
that's exactly what it feels like. Yeah.
It sounds cynical, but it's dead right. It's like if a boardroom in 2021 envisioned how they'd bring Left 4 Dead up to speed with this generation. It is that. Better gunplay, ping system. You're dead right.
There's an absolute kind of simplicity to Left 4 Dead when you think about it, isn't there? There are only like fucking 4 or 5 guns, and then Left 4 Dead 2 they added melee weapons, and it was like, whoa, you got an axe, and that's as far as it went. Like, and you can chuck a fuel tank on the floor and blow it up, and you
can still do that. By the way,
mm-hmm. You can throw cans of petrol at zombies.
Yeah, absolutely. Destroy all the crows. So, Back 4 Blood, it's if people are listening to this one fresh and contemporary, you can get on it right now. And if you're listening in the past, well, I told you so, didn't we? Right. So
I will play it. It does sound.
I think it's going to be Game Pass day one as well. I think Microsoft announced that at their E3 thing.
Oh, well,
so there's always that. But yeah, it's like, I don't know what to feel about Back 4 Blood, to be honest. Like, it was so dependent on for team for me.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should give it a go. Maybe the 3 of us should give it a go. And
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Back 4 Blood. You can play it. Where'd you play it now? How'd you get it?
It's on Steam,
PlayStation, Xbox, but only next gen, I think.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's Back 4 Blood. We do have a load of emails, but I think we should probably just jump straight to the Nintendo Indie World thing that was just broadcast earlier today. It was the 11th of August, where it was obviously a heavily indie-focused Nintendo Direct, which wasn't very long. It was about 20 minutes. And they were just rattling through loads of different indie games, really. Loads of... I mean, they were really quick-fire. There was one point where they said, let's have a look at all the games that are coming out today. And then they banged out 4 games within about 40 seconds. So... it was a very kind of jam-packed 20 minutes. And there's a lot of surprises in there. Jake, you seem to feel like it was a very good...
For me, it was a really strong one. Probably the strongest one in memory. Like, full stop in memory. I can't remember one that I remember just going, I'll have a bit of that, I'll have a bit of that, and I'll have a bit of that.
What were the games that were making you think that then?
All right, well, very, very quickly... the first, I guess that the headline act for me is Loop Hero, a game that I was crying about on the podcast a couple of months ago, and I kept saying, like, I know everything's better on the Switch, but when this one comes to the Switch, my life is over. This is the only game I think that could even like come close to taking up the amount of time that Binding of Isaac takes up in my life. Legit. So it's like a really unusual game. It sounds so like it's weird. It doesn't sound very appealing when I speak about it, but it's like a retro themed, like grimdark, like it's like an auto battler idle game, basically, in a way. You create like like Scalextrics, you're making your little Scalextrics one bit at a time and your car goes around. Imagine that, but instead of Scalextrics, it's a hero and an adventure. So you plant like a forest tile, and then your guy will walk through the forest and fight a skeleton, and each time he completes a loop, he gets his health back and gets an item, and then you can see how many loops that you can complete, but each time it gets a little bit harder, and then you can nope out when you finish a loop. Like, it'll say, do you want to go on another loop, or do you want to go back to the town? When you go back to the town, you can take some resources with you and build a town, so it's got a bit of a town building element. It is so brilliant. Like, it's just the most dreamy idea for a game, man. I can't stress it enough. I love everything about it. It's like perfect game to have on when you're doing something else, but also like if you are just fully engaged in it, great. And I'm really surprised it's coming so soon. So it's out in like September. So there's that. And then there's Boyfriend Dungeon, which has been like in the works for ages. This is one of them games where I couldn't tell if like everybody I know is excited for it, or it's just I know a lot of people that just work in the games industry and go to conventions. I've
never heard of it before.
It's been in the works for a while, and it's just a stupid idea, isn't it? It's like basically like it's a dungeon crawler where you level up your weapons by taking them out on dates, and it's like a bit silly. You can go on like, visual novel dates with like a giant sword, and the more bond you've got with your weapon, the more powerful it is. So it's a bit of like what's that game, like the pigeon dating sim? Do you know what I'm on about?
Hatoful Boyfriend.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? A bit silly like that, or whatever. It's a bit like a Yakuza mini game, like basically. So I don't know, like that looks pretty fucking sick. And a game that I really do like the look of is the new Shovel Knight. Now it's weird because like it looks like a free to play fucking Candy Crush piece of shit, but
it does a little bit. Yeah.
But do you know what it is about these things? I played this game called Grindstone, and it was like
I know that.
Yeah, and what it is, you actually forget that games like this are amazing, because when you're playing them, they've been so manufactured now to sell you the gems, the coins, they time lock and they power lock every single fun part of it. But it works because the games are so addictive. But when you've got that like addictive style game with none of that, with no like I don't know, like what's the word, like exactly. But there's no I don't know what I'm trying to say, secret objective, like, you know what I mean? There's nothing that they're trying to do to get money out of you. Agenda, yeah. They've got no hidden agenda.
Can I just say, generally speaking, the word agenda is absolutely banned.
But no hidden agenda. And even then, I think there's another word. But anyway, the point is, like, these types of games, when I feel like they're completely free, there's absolutely no monetization, and you're just enjoying like the moment to moment, like dopamine hit gameplay.
Yeah,
great. It's like like Peggle in a way. Like a lot of that sort of stuff is like an arcade game basically, but it's completely so that seems like it could be cool, like a Bubble Bobble. Liam said quite rightly Dr. Mario, but I played Grindstone, and it looks very similar to that. And that was the game I had on Apple Arcade, and I didn't think it was going to be great, but the reviews were good, and that was my most played Apple Arcade game. So they were the standouts for me. There's more, but
there's a few that stood out to me, and luckily they're all different to the ones that stood out to you. But the first one that caught my eye was that one, Tome or Toem,
Tome, yeah,
which looks really nice. Game about photography. I'm into that. But it's kind of sort of, it's a classic like indie thing where they've kind of figured out a way of like mashing up, two different genres to come out with something new and giving it a distinctive visual art style. Boom, there you go. That's an indie game. That's a fucking perfect indie recipe.
Yeah,
but that looks really nice and like pretty fun. Metal Slug tactics I thought looked pretty class. There needs to be more games like this of this genre on the Switch because it's absolutely perfect. All of these tactics games are so good on handheld.
Wargroove, Into the Breach, and then we've got Advance Wars on the way.
I mean, I said that I was kind of disappointed when XCOM 2 came out just because it's basically the full fat fucking PC game that just cannot run on the Switch and it looks like shit. They could make a great XCOM game on the Switch, but there you go.
Tailor-made one would be good.
Yeah, because Metal Slug does look like it's been designed with the Switch in mind, and it looks fantastic. Like it looks really good. The artwork and the stills and stuff. It looks great.
Oh yeah, Metal Slug's always had amazing like sprite work.
Yeah, but then when you have it on this like isometric kind of tactics plane, where it's got almost that like diorama look to it, based on what I've seen.
Yeah, you're right.
It looks class.
These guys really know how to style it out because it's .emu at Liam. The people who did Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
And they did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They know how to they know how to follow the brief, but give it their own little thing. So this looks like a Game Boy Advance game in your dreams as a kid.
Exactly. Yeah, it looks class. And then Islanders is the other one which I've already bought. Which me and Jake played on PC.
This wouldn't have happened if we didn't mention it, I don't think. This is the game that we were talking about. Yeah, this is the game that back in summer, early summer, we were talking about this game. It was like £2 and it was amazing. And we were on about Dorf Romantic a couple of weeks ago. And we were saying it's like this other game. This is that other game.
To be honest, though, it does look like there's a bit more going on. I don't know if just because I played an early access version or something. But it does look, just in terms of the variety of the buildings and things like that, it just seems like there's a bit more to it.
I think quite a lot of it was content locked. So you had to get to level 10 before you unlock. Same as Dorf Romantic in it, you unlock your trains eventually. So it was that. But
maybe they were just flexing the actual fucking high end stuff in the trailer or something.
Yeah,
it's really nice, and it's £4, and it's just almost aimless, but there's a subtle undercurrent of challenge which kind of grows as it goes on. Game where you're just kind of plopping down buildings on an island as you want, basically. But then the patterns become clear to you as you're playing it and things you should do and stuff. And it's really nice. It was so good, so relaxing to play on PC. So I can only imagine, falling to sleep to this thing.
Exactly. There was a bunch. I've got to say, the end really fucking got me though, because it was and our friends at Chucklefish, and I was like, okay, here we go, and it was Eastward, which is not the game that everyone wants from Chucklefish. Not the
Harry Potter one.
Not Harry Potter Stardew Valley, aka Witchbrook, the game that literally people would sell their soul for. It was Eastward, which does look good, and it's out in September. But it's not
the one, is it?
It's not the one. They had a bit of Tetris in there for Liam. They had a bunch more stuff, didn't they? They had a sequel to Far Lone Sails. Yeah, I can't remember what they called.
Tides, it's called.
That's it.
Changing Tides.
I always remember.
I still haven't played that. I still haven't played Far Lone Sails. What do you do in it? It just seems to be going.
It's a bit of it's a bit of a limbo. You just go left to right, mate. But there's a lot of nice music.
Is there puzzles? Is there puzzles in it?
Yeah. So you're on that. You're not little weird boat, and then it'll run out of I don't know, fucking power, and then you go into a warehouse, and you have to do that to get. Or it'll you'll hit a sluice gate, and you've got to go and open that or whatever. Okay. I always remember
it did look a bit like Inside. I thought, the bits where they're underwater and stuff.
Yeah, they've definitely copied some homework, in my opinion. It's got that Little Nightmares, that Inside type look to this one, whereas the other one looked a little bit different stylistically from what I remember. So, I mean, there was a bunch of others like Necrobarista, Garden Story, all out today. But I felt like during the pandemic, when the people needed it the most and everyone was trapped indoors, there wasn't many and it's out right now. Because in fact, what we've had is loads of delays. Nearly every single game has been delayed.
There was one called Garden Story as well, which was announced for today as well. There's 5 or 6. Necrobarista, Garden Story, this Islanders,
Boyfriend Dungeon. So yeah, there was a shitload. And you know what as well? Like I don't think there was hardly anything that was like past like Q1 2022. I think everything. I think like January is like the latest thing. Everything else is out before then.
I think Metal Slug might be a while.
Yeah.
Axiom Verge 2 as well. That's out later today.
That's it. Yeah, decent. That the first one anyway.
There's a lot of if you got a Switch, then have a look at the eShop because there'll be shitloads of new games on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good flipping indie showcase. That was a really decent one. So shouts out Nintendo.
That was good. Okay, let's do some emails then. If you want to send us an email, the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. We're getting loads at the moment, which is great. It really makes it easier for us and picking through and trying to pick some good topics. So please keep them coming in to dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Doesn't matter if you've done one recently or whatever. Maybe it wasn't read out. Just send it again if you want. Just keep them coming in.
Yeah.
What should we do? There's actually quite a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I reckon we'll do this one from Dave Eller from New Jersey. Dave says, "Dear Special Moves."
Yeah, keep it real. Shouts out Newark. Let's go.
Back in the day, I loved my dungeon crawlers. The Bard's Tale series was my favourite, and I really miss having my graph paper to map my way around the world.
Yeah.
Or the code wheels that we had in a game called Starflight and Starflight 2. Most games back in the 80s did not incorporate in-game mapping, and so I always found it more immersive and just plain cool to see my paper map grow with my progress. In games like Starflight, the innovative way they implemented early copy protection by using a code wheel also seemed more immersive and fun. I still go back to these games on occasion, and I'll break out my old 286 to have a time of it. Is that an expression in Jersey?
Have a time. Listen, New Jersey can do what they want. Let them fucking go.
My question to the three of you is there any game mechanics or extras that you miss that have pretty much gone extinct in today's games? And do you save your old hardware and games thinking one day you may come back to them just for shits and giggles? As always, love the podcast as well as the bonus podcast. Cheers, Dave. Thanks,
nice
Dave.
One, Dave. I don't know if you want to skip this week's 90 Day Fiance special, but I appreciate it.
You know what I really wish took off but didn't? If you ever played the Dreamcast, they had the memory cards.
I thought you were going to end it there. Have you ever played the Dreamcast?
Well, if Sega came out of a Dreamcast 2 tomorrow, I'd be first in line. But like the controllers, they had these memory cards that was like a Tamagotchi, basically.
Yeah,
and they had the screen on, and you could some of them had like mini games on your save file, and it was well good. And I remember if you played Resident Evil 2, it had like your health ammo condition on the screen on the memory card. It was so good, but very gimmicky in hindsight, especially of like the late 90s Tamagotchi craze. But I just thought that was really cool. Like having, and I know PlayStation did it with the Pocket Station as well, but it only ever came out in like North America and Japan. And there was like a Chocobo mini game you could play on it if you had Final Fantasy VIII. But yeah, I always thought things like that were cool, but I can see why it didn't take off. Being an added extra that you have to pay more than a regular memory card for. It's just have a screen and some buttons, but I thought it was cool.
It's I know what you mean, and I think that like the closest I got to like a mod. Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys did it either, but Assassin's Creed Black Flag had like that app where you could level up your ships when you were away. And I remember me and Kale, we were working in Tesco or whatever at the time, and we were like looking at can't wait to get back to your fleet. Do you know what I mean? But I do like the idea of this second screen thing. I don't know if I'd like it if it was in every game, but I do like the ability, so I don't know, like basically like my eldest daughter, she likes to play games with me, and by that I mean she just watches me play games, but likes to be useful. So we've been playing Orcs Must Die recently, where I play it on the hardest difficulty, and the hard enemies are like signified by like different things on the map. And I say, Ellie, keep an eye out for any diamonds or any yellow circles. And she proper thinks she's like a general. She's like, from the east side, there's 2 yellows coming. And it's like, she proper gets involved. Don't need the white, but obviously like it's the best thing ever. Like the fact that like,
listen to this podcast, man.
No, I fucking hope not. So I love that idea of maybe like, the new Battlefield coming out. It'd be sick if on the iPad she could have a little map and she can ping.
They already did that sort of. Yeah, the commander map. Yeah.
They had it on The Division as well. No.
Yeah. So a big fucking period, wasn't there? One of the proper games industry phase.
Having app connectivity.
Second screen experience.
Well, it's one of them where I think, like Stadia or communism, the theory's good, but when it actually is in the real world, not so much. So it's one of them where I think that if they took another crack at it now, I don't know, but I think Dave's speaking out of like a lot of nostalgia, and I've just got to say, like, when you got like you're playing a game with your mate, and they're like your general, like what my daughter does, right? I used to play Final Fantasy IX with my mate, and I used to read the guidebook thing to him. I was like, right, there's going to be in the next thing. Apparently, there's going to be an elixir hidden away, and I wouldn't tell him where it was. And then if he needed help, I'd tell him. But I like that. I like that tangible thing. I remember getting a physical, well, not an actual Pokedex, but it was like a guide of all the Pokemon for the Pokemon Red, with where you could find them, which route, and like that tangible, that physical book. You know what I mean? It was textile, and it was and it was good. And now I just go on bloody Fextra Life or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I love that idea. I love the idea of maps. I think the maps are fucking cool. But I've never seen a code wheel in real life, so I'm gonna check it out.
And like along the same lines, the thing I miss, I reckon at the moment, is physical, like independent game shops, because there just aren't any. And if there are, they're extremely limited now, compared to what they would have been like. Because I used to love like secondhand game shops and stuff, and there was just loads. There was just more than 2 or 3. We live in like small towns in North Wales, and there would have been more than. There would have been at least 2 on each kind of high street. And then you had like the big chains came in, and now all the fucking chains are going under, and they're closing branches and stuff. So there's no need for it anyway, because everybody like buys digital games. But there's just that experience of going into like a secondhand fucking like a horrible, dusty, manky old game shop and just buying Fable in there, like
from the actual guild master.
Well, I was recommended Fable by a guy in a shop like that. I got an Xbox near the end of the PS2 like life cycle. Traded my PS2 in to get an Xbox, and then I was like, what should I play? And he was like, Fable, like easily Fable, and then
it conjures such images.
Changed the boy's life that day.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I bought it, but that what have I got now? Fucking Reddit. I fucking hate Reddit.
Still people who wear polo shirts and have ponytails, but you just don't get the must.
Now they're maniacs because they're not nervous because I'm not there in person.
Yeah. No, they don't have to face me.
They have the strength of anonymity now, which makes it terrible. That's a good email. Actually, the thing I thought when I first read this, though, is just a little game mechanic I mentioned quickly, is in the game The Thing, which I never saw repeated again, was you had a squad. It was like a survival horror game, but you had a squad in there with you. And the Thing being the Thing, you don't know who the Thing is, and people can be infected, and you won't know it until it's too late, and then they transform into horrible monsters. They made like a game mechanic in that game where not only did your squad have like a fear level, and they would panic and get stressed and you have to bring them out of combat and stuff. But if they got too stressed, that is a way of like triggering the fucking Thing explosion, and they just transform. It was class. I haven't seen much like
that. Would have been good in like a Dead Space spin-off or something. Where like you've got a squad and you don't know who's going to be the necromorph, and they're just going to like explode on you at any point.
100%. It would suit that to the T. Squad.
I think there's actually a mod for Darkest Dungeon that is exactly that mechanic, but it's a mod. But Darkest Dungeon has that like insanity mechanic.
Yeah, it does.
But not quite the same. But I love that. It's balancing the meters.
Darkest Dungeon is a good, and I reckon XCOM. To be honest, XCOM's got fear and things as well.
Yeah,
it's a completely different genre at that point.
Not enough games mess with the player like Metal Gear Solid 2 did.
No,
or Eternal Darkness. Things like that where they just like proper like mess with you in the real world as well. I love stuff like that. Yeah, or like it's telling you it's gonna like erase your memory card if you don't like turn off the game and stuff. I love stuff like that. Yeah,
that was
getting it's all fishing mailed in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah. So in short, the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Nice one, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, Dreamcast.
Bring it back.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for that one. We'll do. Okay, this email is really long, but I think it's good. It's a journey. Okay. So it's pretty low stakes. I mean, I've oversold it already, but it's just a good email, right? This one is from Matt Rhodes, who says this: Dear Special Moves, my name is Matt. I'm 46. I live in Derbyshire. I was in Derbyshire on the weekend, Matt.
Shouts out Derbyshire.
I was in Derby Rugby Club on the weekend. His star sign is Leo. My favourite animals are dogs, pigs, and alpacas.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Very good,
I've been following you guys since the Pretty Good Gaming days, and your podcast is the only gaming show I listen to religiously on the day of release. I'm writing in response to last week's email from listener Arthur regarding The Witcher 3. So if you remember, we had an email last week from a chap called Arthur who was kind of questioning the openness of open world games and could you have like a linear experience playing The Witcher 3 and how games are too long, basically. So this email is a response to that. I thought I would share my experience with The Witcher 3 to maybe give Arthur and other listeners who have not yet given it a go a different perspective. I've been gaming for 40 years on everything from the home computers of the 80s to the early handheld devices and master systems of the 90s, right the way through to the PS5 and Oculus Quest 2 of today. Some of my favourite games of all time are Silent Hill 2, Dead Space, Okami, and Shadow of the Colossus. And
tasteful motherfucker.
Yeah, here's the KO, okay? And I think Bloodborne is not only the best game of all time, but the single best piece of entertainment media.
I love you. Yeah.
Bold. Okay. That being said, one genre I do not consider myself a fan of is RPGs. Maybe it's because I'm not a huge fan of games or films, for that matter, that are set in a fantasy world. Anything with wizards, elves, orcs, dragons, anything like that usually bores the tits off of me. Sorry, Jake, he says, but I find most RPGs to be very overwhelming, which I kind of agree with a little bit. Being asked to make decisions on everything from starting classes, stats, weapons, potions, party members, skill trees, dialogue options, along with the usually large open world setting with dozens, if not hundreds of hours of content, and the fact that the tutorials in these games are usually shit, usually means that RPGs simply do not appeal to me at all. So, my early experience with The Witcher 3 was not great. I avoided purchasing the game for a few years due to all the reasons given above, but it got to a point where I could no longer ignore all the people saying greatest game of all time. Game of the year. So I started playing it. I quickly found that it was everything that I hate in a video game, and I switched it off before finishing White Orchard, which is the area in the beginning. Still, the positive comments kept coming at me, so I tried it again. I got a bit further, and I switched it off again. And then I tried it again. I got a bit further, I switched it off again. This happened a total of 5 times.
Yep.
However, with the first lockdown of March 2020, meaning I had more time on my hands at home, I thought I would give it one last go. And oh boy, am I glad that I did that. Roughly 90 hours later, having completed as many side quests as I could find, I'd finished the main campaign and now consider The Witcher 3 to be one of the best story-driven games I have ever played. I allowed myself to be immersed in the world. I read every item description. In all honesty, by the end, I probably still didn't fully understand the crafting system and the most effective use of mutagens, but I didn't care, and I just enjoyed the game for its memorable characters and its rich, detailed lore. Where are we? Okay, I still have the DLCs to play through, and so I'm waiting for the current gen upgrade as the excuse. I need to dive back in, and I can't wait. So to Arthur and others who have yet to experience this game, I can honestly say that The Witcher 3 is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. As a result of my time with The Witcher 3, I'm even thinking about starting Divinity Original Sin, which has been sat on my hard drive unplayed for 2 years. Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks, Matt Rhodes.
All I've been waiting is to beg Matt publicly, Matt, in front of everybody, please try Divinity Original Sin.
Yeah.
It really is that good. But you know what? I got to say, I like that email because it's not a question, is it? It's somebody's Matt's story. That's good. You know what I mean? Alpaca fan. Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you argue with that? Huh? And I got to say, you know, I love that he's got such an impeccable taste, yeah, but also hates RPGs because to me, it's like when Liam isn't like mad on Skyrim. I think, how can you be so right and not like Skyrim, you know? Yeah. But it's one of them. It's what you know. That's why people are different, isn't it? It's what I live for. Yeah, but
just don't mention Event Horizon, innit? Fuck yeah. But Matt Rhodes has come in with a good email there, I think, and I probably agree with him that you know about the.
Overwhelming.
I find them like Liam. You know, I know we just mentioned Skyrim there, but you know, like The Witcher and I don't know, you know, Divinity and other more like traditional kind of Western RPGs. I guess. What do you feel about them?
Like I do like Western RPGs. I just don't play that many of them. Like I didn't think I'd like Divinity Original Sin until we played it. I had a great time with that. Like I think it's like fantastic. It's like. Witcher 3, I do like Witcher 3. Just, you know, I'm more like, because I'm a very one and done sort of person when it comes to games. Witcher 3 just didn't like capture me like it did everyone else. Like, I still think it's a good game, but not to the extent that everyone else thinks it's a good game. Skyrim, I still actually haven't finished Skyrim, but I like the structure of it because I do like the Bethesda open world games.
Yeah, like, it's instantly more, even though that does have all the decisions at the beginning, you know, make what race are you and all that, it does kind of feel more accessible. They've just done it well, I think.
But yeah, something about the way Bethesda does it, it's like really easygoing. Because I love Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, absolutely love them. Like, I could play them for hours on end, just like wandering around the world, just listening to Johnny Guitar all the time. But yeah, I don't know why. Like, I weirdly don't find Western RPGs intimidating. Really, I'm more put off by like JRPGs at the minute, just because of the sheer length of them. Like Dragon Quest is 80 hours, Persona 5 is 80 hours, Shin Megami Tensei is another 80 hours. Like they're all like such long. Like Octopath Traveler is like 50, 60 hours to get through that.
There's something to be said about the tutorial, I think, which is absolutely crucial as well, which Matt mentioned there, where. I think in JRPGs, that is what kills me usually. They're very
handholdy.
Yeah, extremely, and too much explanation, and then pop up like text boxes and you know things that you know that just don't need explaining, but you know everything is covered exhaustively in it.
Whereas like Western RPGs are more the opposite, where it's just like, well, you're in the world, go.
Yeah, definitely, and you rely maybe a bit more on. Like Jake was saying earlier, actually, you know, about guides and shit, and how do you probably watch some YouTube videos about how to start your build, you know, the perfect build and all that shit.
Yeah, it's what I think is intimidating is like when you're playing an RPG and you're locking in points. At the beginning, it's like, pick your character. Does he want 10 intelligence and you think, well, I don't fucking know yet, do I? Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I think what it is like obviously the true RPG experience, like. Distilled all the way down to the core is Dungeons and Dragons, right? And there's a lot of preliminary work that's involved in setting a game, right? I'm preparing. This is for example, I'm going to do a D&D campaign in November, yeah. So I've been prepped ahead of time this week, and I've just copy and pasted it into Word Counter. I've been sent 994 words just outlining the area of the map we're starting in. Think about how long that is, right? And that's what these CRPGs are like.
You're like a fucking paratrooper, mate.
That's what these games are like.
You'll put a Halo jump in Afghanistan.
A CRPG is paratrooping into somebody's dream. You're like you land in somebody's fucking world, and it's like, this is the world of Algoth. The valley to the north is full of the Magistrum. Do you know what I mean? And you think, I don't fucking know what you're on about. Put me in a sewer and let me fight rats. So and I think what it is about The Witcher that's kind of cool is like The Witcher 3 isn't actually that worried about setting you up with, this is the land of this place, this is the land of this place, this is the land of this place. It's actually more like, this place is at war with this place, but you already know that, right? And in a way that kind of helps you along, because you go, right, okay, and video...
Basically, that's good storytelling, isn't it? And it does, because, you know, it's two different approaches. It's the Lord of the Rings fucking Kate Blanchett explaining everything that's happened, or you're just joining in halfway through and you're just kind of like, fucking hell, I can't believe that we're out here still doing this thing that we've been doing for days and days and days. That's what The Witcher 3 does. So it kind of just brings you into it, like, it's as a story.
And what's so good about it is it's like still ultimately the case of like men and monsters. Whereas like when you're getting into like those games and they drop you into like the war of Anuvum has been ravaging the lands for 500 years, and then and then you seem a bit interested, and then it'll sort of reward you by giving you the lore, the blow-by-blow account of this 500-year-old war that the elves, and you think, I don't fucking. Just shut up.
BioWare's kind of approach as well is the sort of you are the chosen one, and you have been chosen to do what exactly? Save where? Why? Yeah. What is it? Just
in a way, that's what I tell you. Dragon Quest, the latest one. What is it? 11.
Yeah.
That's like kind of chucks you into it's got a really, really fucking great intro, in my opinion. Dragon Quest is great storytelling. Like, it's dead simple. It's like, here's your guy, you do a ritual every year in your village, but this year it goes wrong. So it's like giving you a little bit of like the lore, but it changes for you. And then because of that, it's great because everybody is literally in the world going, oh, what's happening? This has never happened before. So rather than being like, yes, it's like everyone's like, let's learn together. So because of that, it's great because it's a good excuse for loads of exposition. And yeah, it becomes about the people that you're surrounded with trying to solve this mystery together. So JRPGs do that quite a lot, don't they? Where you don't feel alone because you've got your party. Yeah. Whereas, it's not as like that in Western RPGs where you're like the guy.
That's what I quite like about the BioWare ones is how good the party is in different ways. But in Mass Effect, they're great in a certain way. But then even in Dragon Age, I think Dragon Age Origins, I like the system in that where there isn't a morality system, but there is the party members have opinions on what you do. So if you say something to a certain person, and then you have someone with you who is generally a bit of a prick, they'll like you less if you were nice to that person. If you were nice in a conversation, they'll think, why are you being so nice? This guy's a scumbag. You should just be horrible to him, Yeah. So I like the way that that they manage the party as well. That's one of the strengths of the BioWare games, I think. Yeah, that was a good email. Thanks, Matt.
Nice one. Good emails this week. Really good.
Yeah, decent. Let's keep them coming in. It's theespecialmoves@gmail.com. Shall we do... Okay, so we've already kind of mentioned a load of new games because of Nintendo Indie World, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we already know that there's a ton of new Nintendo Switch games, but there's also some other games. Starting with Monday, the 9th of August, which has already been. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is coming to Series X. This is an excellent game by Ninja Theory. I absolutely fucking loved this when it came out.
Yep, I think it's one of them where they got an exciting sequel on the way. I don't know if it's exciting, to be honest, but it's got a lot of potential, that's for sure. So I'm interested in seeing it. So if you haven't, it's pretty good required reading, and it's quite short, isn't it, guys? It's like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5, I think.
4 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
Mixed puzzles, very intense combat at times, especially at the end. It's good. Good story. And the same day, the Monday, 9th of August, is I Am Dead, which is out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. This is an Annapurna Interactive published game.
I saw a trailer for it. I can't remember what it was, but I think there was a lighthouse involved. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's a British developer, and it's a game about a lighthouse, and it's Annapurna. So really, that is the success story waiting to happen, isn't it? Who actually knows? The guy who did this made a really, really, really breakout indie game that was absolutely loved by people who played it, called Wilmot's Warehouse, which is a game where you are stacking things in a warehouse. It was one of them where if you play that, you get it, but otherwise, I'm not going to bother explaining why a warehouse game is fun. But it's one of them where it's got really, really, really weird art style. Have you guys seen the art style for this game?
No.
It's like a nightmare. but with pastel colors and low polygon counts. But
oh yeah, sorry, yeah, no, I don't know why I said no. Yeah, I have seen it. I've seen some stills, and it does look nice.
Creepy.
I like it. I think it's looks good. And then the 10th of August, there's a few things. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is getting DLC. Would you believe? For PC.
So that's all new DLC. It's not like an enhanced version.
As far as I know, it's some new campaigns and then two new factions or something. So it doesn't, in a game like Age of Empires, ultimately it doesn't really matter. Like, there's not a huge difference in mechanics and stuff between each faction. Maybe they'll have unique buildings and buildings that look, their houses and their castles and all that stuff will look different, and they'll have a couple of new, a couple of unique units and shit like that. It's not a huge deal, but kind of aesthetically, it's nice and it helps change it up. But there's new campaigns as well. Black Book is out on the 10th of August on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Good name.
Yeah, but
I don't know anything about it though.
It's a dark RPG adventure based on Slavic myths.
Takes place in 19th century Russia. That sounds good.
The art style looks pretty good.
I want to know more about this.
Yeah, it looks all right, this, I tell you what, the conversational bits look a bit Banner Saga. Oh, there's cards. I'm out. Doesn't matter.
Moving on. Ever Forward is out on Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series X, again on the 10th of August.
Ever Forward. Never heard of it. Nope. Sorry, Ever Forward devs.
And Godfall, which was already out on PS5, and was it out on
PC?
Xbox?
It wasn't. It was not on old gen, but then it recently got.
It's still PlayStation exclusive, I think, apart from PC.
But it's out on PS4 anyway.
Yeah, that's it. It's the. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's expansion, isn't it?
Yeah,
as well. Mm-hmm.
The demake. Shadowverse Champions Battle is out on Nintendo Switch, which is a digital card-playing game. That sounds interesting.
Right, go on. Next one.
And on the 12th of August, the Thursday, it's the day of the podcast, a game called Foreclosed.
Half of these sound like bloody Discovery Plus shows.
That is a legal term, isn't it? It's out on PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Stadia.
A narrative-driven game set in a cyberpunk world filled with action, suspense, and experimental augmentations. So there we go. Comic book style game. Yes.
And then Friday the 13th, of course, is Hades, which is going to living room
actual
consoles.
Home consoles. Yep. Hell yeah.
PS5, Xbox One, Series X. It is available on Switch already, of course, and it's great.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's a home console. Yeah, that's the play on the roof party console, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's an airport console.
That's exactly it. So yeah, Hades, man, this is it. Last stop for Hades, probably. It's over.
We mentioned Death Trash last week, didn't we? A few times.
And I did. I did play a bit of Death Trash, yeah, but I played it like.
I buy it.
You might buy Death Trash.
I want to buy it, yeah, but
I'll just give you a code. The developer sent us all codes.
What?
Yeah. All right. I just get you a code. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Death Trash, yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that you said that because you were kind of taking a piss out of the name of it, which
I thought it was hilarious. But of course, anyone who calls the game Death Trash. The thing is with games, it can go either way, right?
Yeah. Foreclosed.
You look at the eShop especially. There's shitloads of games called things like Death Trash, and they are bad. And the people who have called them Death Trash think that's a cool name.
Yeah, exactly.
But this Death Trash, upon closer inspection, is obviously made by clever people who are more self-aware than a lot of the what it goes out on.
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah, exactly.
Now that I've seen the game in motion and seen screenshots, I realise that Death Trash is a genius name. It's a brilliant name. Because now I cannot get the words Death Trash out of my head.
Exactly. So yeah, shouts out Death Trash. I'm glad it's been doing well as well. I only picked up because the guys, the Studio's Arm, who make Disco Elysium, best game of all time, said this game is going to be really good. Like, just have a look at it. So I looked and I was like, fucking hell, yeah, okay. It's like those Fallout games that I never played. You know, Fallout 1 and 2. Yeah. Though, like those types of games, but
modern. It's like those Fallout games, but good. It looks like.
Come on, man.
If you have anything you'd like to email us, please send it to dearspecialmoves@gmail.com.
Does anyone ever email us pictures, Mike? Because I'm sorry to ask in front of everybody, but I don't read the emails myself normally. Does anyone ever send us pictures?
No, but I'm sure now that you said that, Joni will.
People just said it. I'll tell you what, if you're listening to this out on a walk, just take a picture of your environment, innit? Because like we have people listening from Kenya, New Jersey, Suffolk. You know, I want to have a look. I know I sound like a Khan in a giant tent who's like, bring me the wares for me to see. But I just want to see where you're all at, innit?
Images.
Yeah. Why the sky blue? Show me the sea. Yeah, but you know, I just want to see some stuff in it. So, and it'd be good for Mike as well. Break it up with his eyes.
Yeah, who wants wall-to-wall text? Not me. So if you have maybe an impassioned defense of the classic Fallout games, please email that into us. If you have any long, sprawling opinions on RPGs like Matt Rhodes, please send them in. Opinions and stories, anything like that is just as good, if not better, than questions. So please keep them coming. We'll be back next week with more podcast stuff, and we're going to do a bonus podcast now where we talk about reality TV. So enjoy that. See you soon.